right, so we got our banker king, freshly installed, fresh suit, fresh resume, but democracy, or at least the Canadian version of it, it requires a contest. So let's look at the challengers. It's not really a field of ideologies. It's a character study in vibes, contradiction, and political cosplay. Let's start with the front runner, or depending on the political narrative that you subscribe to, the villain. Pierre Poilievre, the conservative leader, carbon tax warlord, and the walking reactionary algorithm. A man whose entire political strategy seems to be built around maximizing YouTube and TikTok. His brand, it's populist rage, but make it suburban. He dresses like a WestJet manager on Casual Friday, but talks like a guy who just discovered the gold standard subreddit. For the past few years, he's been on this relentless offensive with the disaffected, the angry, and the frankly misinformed, dunking on the Bank of Canada, rallying against inflation, and warning that gatekeepers are hoarding all your freedoms. Except, here's the trick. He is the gatekeeper. He's been in Parliament since 2004. He served under Stephen Harper. He voted for every austerity measure, every corporate giveaway, and every gutting that helped create the very economic misery that he is pretending to oppose. Poilievre's politics are aesthetic, not material. He sounds like he's fighting for you, but everything in his actual platform screams more of the same, but angrier. He wants to scrap the carbon tax. Okay, sure, but replace it with nothing once the liberals go ahead and do it themselves. He wants to deregulate housing. Again, Carney's doing the same thing. Cut taxes. Carney's doing the same thing. It's like the only thing that, Poilievre's platforming on that Carney isn't is killing the CBC. He's pitching like economic liberation by this way of landlordism. Personal responsibility as a national policy. His real message is like, if you're struggling, it's because someone else has too much. Not the rich, not corporations, just like other people, immigrants, urbanites, gender studies majors, international students, stuff like that. He's not offering like traditional populism. He's offering this like internet online libertarian cosplay, trying to be a political movement. And the thing is that you can only do that for so long before people find out who you really are and then become disenfranchised and disillusioned with your entire movement and either don't vote, or if they do vote for you, they vote further right than what you are. And talking about being disillusioned by a leader, the next person that we're going to talk about, Jagmeet Singh, leader of the NDP, the Instagram aficionado, the social media influencer, and the man who's been holding Trudeau accountable for 5 years, well, voting to keep him in power that entire time. His whole deal is, again, just vibes, like moral clarity filtered through this progressive aesthetic. Leather jackets, motorcycle shorts, heartfelt TikToks about inequality. But when it comes to actually fighting, the NDP folds like a cheap tent. Their strategy has been consistent. Extract very minor concessions from the liberals: dental care, farmer care, pilot projects, some light tax reforms, and then use small crumbs to justify not forcing an election. It's incrementalism with like a selfie stick. And to be fair, Jagmeet Singh is in a very rough spot, but, the NDP doesn't really have the same type of funding or media access or institutional backing to mount a serious national campaign. But that hasn't stopped them from behaving like they do. Like, they're running as if they'll win 150 seats and they'll be lucky to hold 25. And yet they continue to act like the conscience of Parliament, even as though they've enabled the very government that they claim to oppose this entire time. It's performance of resistance without the risk. And more the voters know it. You know what I mean? Like, I understand why people have apathy. People who support the NDP have apathy because they're just a very incompetent party from the top down. But talking about, if we're on another page to talk about competence, the Bloc Québécois, in my view, Canada's most consistent reminder that Quebec will never stop being a pragmatic political force that's been the core of Canada politics since when Canada first became a country. The Bloc Québécois, led by Yves-François Blanchet, plays a game that no one else in federal politics can play. It's unconditional regionalism. They don't want to govern Canada, they want to influence it. Their goal is very simple: extract maximum concessions for Quebec while doing the absolute bare minimum for national governance. Language laws, immigration autonomy, cultural protectionism. Every policy is like filtered through this lens of Quebec exceptionalism. And it works. The Bloc like punches above its weight in every minority parliament. They leverage every confidence vote. They posture as principled nationalists while operating as strategic, pragmatic deal makers. Blanchet himself is like the perfect avatar for this brand. He's very smug, he's pompous, articulate, effortlessly condescending, and he speaks with the air of a man who believes federalism is something that happens to other people. And in a way, he's right. As a Quebecer, for him, he's right. The Bloc doesn't need to win the country. They just need to win the room. And if Carney or Poilievre ends up leading a minority, you can bet that Blanchet will be holding the scales. And Quebec, once again, will get what it wants. Well, the rest of Canada gets more lectures about how the nation of Quebec is a nation among nations with other First Nations or something. I forget what Blanchet said, but it was absolutely absurd. But something along those lines. So what ties all of these challengers together? Because it's not policy, but performance. Poilievre performs this populist rage. Singh performs this morality, and Blanchet performs nationalism. None of them really offer a holistic or structural critique of the economic order. None of them are seriously challenging capital, colonialism, or climate collapse. Instead, we get a Carney as the adult in the room, Poilievre as the angry man outside of the room, Singh as the guy taking notes on the room's ethical design, and Blanchet as the guy, rightfully so, demanding that this debate be done in French. It's less a campaign than it is like a casting call. This election is not about competing visions of the future. It's about choosing which illusion you find least offensive: the manager, the populace, the moral witness, or the regionalist. And yet, this choice is being packaged as existential, as if voting for Carney will save us from Trump, as if voting for Poilievre will save us from the Trudeau era, or as if voting NDP or anyone else is going to send a message. Because in the end, there's really only like a handful of outcomes here. A majority is pretty much off the table for all sides, in my opinion. And with that, you get scenarios that, if you look at the math, and with Canadian politics, it's not about really who wins, it's about who loses the least. And so we're left with just like a handful of scenarios that could play out.